While we were on vacation back at the end of April, Nick started having these episodes where he couldn't walk very far and he was having trouble breathing and he would break out in a sweat. So we didn't really know what was going on, but it happened several times while we were gone, and the couple that we were with happened to have some nitroglycerin spray. So Nick used that, and it seemed to help him a lot. So when we got back home, we called our doctor, Dr. Nowell, and talked to him about getting some nitroglycerin spray. And the doctor said, well, he really needs to go see a cardiologist. So they set us up to see Dr. Cotton. We went in to see Dr. Cotton about May the 11th, I believe. And Dr. Cotton said, well, just to find out exactly what is going on, we need to set him up for a stress test. So that was set up for May 30th. Well, in the meantime, Nick kept having these episodes, and it really got scary there. He even had one in the shower. So I was watching TV one night, and this commercial came on, and it was had two doctors on there, and one was telling you the symptoms of a stroke, and one told the symptoms of a heart attack. So I listened to it, and then I rewound that commercial again. I listened to it a second time, and this Dr. Stone was saying, if you have these symptoms, you need to call 911. And I realized that Nick had three of those four symptoms. So the next morning, I called Dr. Cotton's office, and I told them that I really wanted to see if he could get in sooner. So they called me back in a few minutes, and they arranged for him to come in for the stress test the very next day, which would have been May the 23rd. So he went in that morning, had the stress test, and when it was through, he came out and he said, oh man, I aced that test. He said, that was a piece of cake. I did real good. So anyway, that evening, we got a phone call, and it was Dr. Cotton, and he said, Nick's tests are very abnormal, and we really think he needs to come in for a heart cath. So they set the heart cath up for the next morning. So we went back to St. Dominic's the next morning and did the heart cath, and the doctors came in and told us that he had 3 blockages, that they could not do stents, and putting him on medication really was not going to work, that they really needed to do the heart bypass surgery. So we said okay, and Dr. Kennedy came in to talk to us about the surgery, and he said, we asked him if he could do it right away, and he said, well, I can't do it tomorrow because I have another surgery scheduled. There's a possibility I can do it Friday, but probably it's going to be next week. We were so disappointed, but anyway, Dr. Cotton talked to us a little bit more, and he said, Dr. Kennedy talked to us a little bit more, and then he said, well, let me go talk to Dr. Cotton a minute. So he leaves the room, and in about 15 minutes, he comes back in the room, and he said, okay, we're going to do the surgery tomorrow. He said, you go home tonight and rest, and be at the hospital in the morning about 8 o'clock, and I'm going to do the surgery at 9:30. So we were so relieved, and we came home that night. Our daughter drove all the way from Illinois. She got here about midnight, and our other 2 daughters live here locally, and the 3 of them went with us the next morning, and our pastor and his wife came, and they took Nick back for surgery at 9:30. And after several hours, they called us and told us that the surgery was through and that they'd had to do 3 bypasses, but he was doing real well. And they took him on to ICU, and he stayed there overnight. And the next morning, they were able to move him to a room. He did real well. St. Dominic's was just the best place in the world to have this surgery. Everybody was so good. Every nurse, every doctor, everybody was so kind and so helpful in any way that they could be. And I just have to give credit to Dr. Cotton and Dr. Kennedy and to Dr. Stone, because I believe between these 3 men, they really saved my husband's life. And the main credit I have to give to God for letting me have enough sense to listen to what he was trying to tell me. But I honestly am so thankful that commercial was on TV to get me motivated enough to know to call and get something started. Period. You know how men are. kept telling me, no, it's just indigestion. But we can see it was not indigestion.